sees the means of production, and the like and subscribe button.
Scholz is now leading the government in a caretaker role after his election defeat. And he has emphasized that transatlantic ties are still crucial to Europe's security.
It is key that we all...
I'm genuinely worried Russia will make a break for the Baltics before Europe gets its shit together. The Irish soak, I wouldn't worry too much about that. They have their hands full with Ukraine, and I'm pretty sure that, like, you have to assume that, like, you know, Estonia, Latvia, whatever, they've been in contact, and the agreement with them essentially has been, if they go after us, we're flattening Russia into the world's largest glass, you know, parking lot. I mean, they've probably been talking about this for years. I don't think the Baltics are open, basically. I don't think UK or France have stones to do that. That's not what Trump said. Yeah, but Trump, like, America doesn't control NATO, you know. Like, not in that way, at least. NATO command is NATO command. And you can, as a nation within NATO, act independently of, like, Article 5 declarations or whatever. People are massively overestimating the threat of Russia. Well, it's not really the threat of Russia now, right? It's the threat of Russia and America. We're kind of both in, you know? If nothing else, you guys can expect to see a massive uptick in nuclear proliferation, right? Nukes are going to be in Germany. They're going to be in Finland. They're going to be in Finland. Poland's going to want nukes. Everyone's going to get their nukes. Everyone's going to want like 20 or 30, you know, maybe like half a dozen juicy ICBMs, so any one of them could delete Moscow if they want. China's already increased their nuke count in the past few years. Well, yeah, that's China. I'm talking about other NATO countries, you know. I think you're overestimating the support that Trump will give to Russia. I don't think he's going to provide Russia arms. Well, okay, consider what Trump has said and what he's been willing to do with Ukraine. What do you think Trump's going to do if the rest of NATO essentially goes behind our back and starts pushing Ukraine to not accept a ceasefire without a security deal and provides them weapons? At what point do you think Trump's going to say, hold on now, you need to stop providing weapons as well, and they don't? Because him saying he'll cut off the weapons is kind of toothless if Europe is ramping up. He's not just an isolationist, he's pro-Russia. He doesn't just want to, you know, get rid of American involvement. He wants Russia to win. Yeah, we'll see if he pulls out of NATO tomorrow. One second, I have to piss. I know it's kind of a meandering segment. There's just a lot going on. Let me pee. Okay. Europe doesn't need to wait a moment longer for the US to break from NATO. The shadow president wants to do it. It'll be done in a week, don't you worry. You have given me a 404 link. If you're gonna really save a link to Clipboard so that you can hit me with it as soon as I'm done draining the lizard, you better make sure that link works. Oh wait, never mind, it works. I was looking at a different link that 404. Masagui? That is the, what, 4th time you've posted that? Why are you... They're Japanese? Yeah, so they should understand the cultural importance of minding your space and respecting your elders. U.S. Senator joins Elon Musk in calling for withdrawal from NATO. Mike Lee. I don't give a what Mike Lee has to say. This guy's literally like a Twitter groiper. He says anything. He'll say literally anything. Yeah, Elon Musk wants us to leave NATO. I've seen that. Shut up. I have too many links here.
Our understanding that it is our common task to support Ukraine because it's a threat to the security architecture, not just of Europe, but also the world, that Russia invaded its neighbor country just for conquering part of the territory or all the territory. We cannot accept this, and we cannot accept that borders will be changed by force. We will have to find ways to increase our defense spending, which is already planned. You know, Germany is spending 2% of its GDP for defense and is now discussing how to continue this increased spending and possibly even more due to NATO capabilities in the next years to come.
He's so boring, he's German, okay? Don't be racist. Slovakia has joined Orban and Trump in pushing against Ukraine. Okay, it's Slovakia. Who gives a... What, you telling me next Serbia is going to turn against Ukraine? Any other countries whose flag is the Russian flag with like an emblem over it? Estonia? No, Estonia would literally never turn against Ukraine. You just chose a random country because you're unfamiliar with the geopolitics. Estonia would, every single Estonian citizens would kneel and commit seppuku before betraying Ukraine to Russia.
And this is the same in many other European countries, and also when we look at the support to Ukraine. So I think the big task is to manage that this cooperation will continue.
So Germany's Olaf Scholz speaking there. Let's bring in Matthew Moore, our political correspondent in Berlin. Matthew, there's been a lot of discussion in Germany about how to increase defense funding, and then more specifically, the mechanics of how to do that. We are now hearing Germany does want to invest more. What can you tell us?
Claire, there's been much discussion really since the elections took place last week about the future of Germany, but to number. So all they can do is basically say that we are resolutely by Ukraine's side and that we will continue to support Ukraine. But until he's got the reins, he can't make big promises when it comes to spending. Interestingly, Friedrich Merz has been pro-sending cruise missiles to Ukraine. That was something that Olaf Scholz was very firmly against. But
I can't deal with this audio. I can't deal with that audio, man. It's killing me. It's killing me. Maybe they just don't know how to tie them. It's really easy to tie a tie. I hope that's not the reason. Special funds for defense and infrastructure. Yeah. 400 billion euros, 400 to 500 for the infrastructure fund, the defense fund. And they spelled defense with a C. European MIC skyrocketing. Yep. Speaking of a good opportunity for day trading, imagine if you'd predicted this. I guess a lot of people did. European defense stocks surge. Check Rheinmetall, their stock has gone insane. I made 5 grand. God damn it. I really need to set up a trading account. Sheesh, no kidding. Up 117% in the past 6 months. What's the point of all this military spending when nukes, i.e. NATO, France, UK, are the only deterrent that matters? Ukraine had a massive army pre-2022. The only reason Ukraine had a big army pre-2022 was because they drafted and recruited a ton of independent militias that were operating in the east in opposition to the Russian occupation of the Donbass. But yeah, they didn't have, prior to that, they didn't have any military at all, basically. Before 2014, they had, nobody. They had, their military was 5 guys. It was the restaurant 5 guys. In the hope that Russians would have, cardiac arrest on their march westward if they invaded. How'd the war start? You mean the invasion of Ukraine? Well, Ukraine was run by a puppet of the Russian government who won legitimately, kind of, but there were protests against him when he decided to sign an economic deal with Russia rather than open up trade with the EU, which the public didn't want. In the protests against him, he started passing extremely dictatorial laws, which led to worsening protests. People died. Eventually, they stormed the palace and he had to flee to Russia. An interim government was set up, but in the meantime, Russia paid separatists in the east of Ukraine to start seizing local government settlements and essentially declare secession. Later, Russia seized Crimea, basically with no opposition. Yeah, he walked back on a promise to open up towards Europe. Yeah, he was literally doing what the Kremlin told him to. All of this has been orchestrated by Russia since the beginning. I don't mean that in a wow, they're geniuses kind of way. It's yeah, obviously. It's just a straightforward read on history. Yeah, and they sent troops with no flags. Yes, Russian troops were in Ukraine in 2014 and have been since. Just rip the damn flags off their fatigues. The world just lets Russia get away with so much. Well, there's only so much you can really do, right? Again, nuclear power, you know? Anyway, the point of this is that military spending is necessary because there are lots of things that you can and need to do militarily that aren't just build nukes. You know, just struggling to see a way through as a leftist because I want countries to be able to deter invasions without just giving trillions of taxpayer dollars to the MIC. Yeah, it'd be nice if we didn't live in a capitalist society, but, you know, Japan won't join UN meeting on nuclear weapons ban, citing support for U.S. deterrence. Noting U.S. nuclear deterrence is crucial to the country's security and its participation would send the wrong message. So Japan didn't attend because they didn't want to imply that they're not gracious towards America for benefiting from America's nuclear umbrella. I guess they're afraid of Trump blowing up on them on Truth Social or something. Japan, despite being the only victim of the nuclear attacks, has refused to sign the treaty, saying its goal is not feasible without the participation of any of the nuclear weapon states. They're gonna get it. They want it. Can't really blame them for wanting it. Japan is basically hiding. No, I think it's the opposite. I think that they're beefing up their own military and they're probably pursuing their own nuclear weapons. Unfortunately, Maris has already ruled out a German nuke program. Unfortunately, but buddy, I'm not pro-nuclear proliferation, to be clear. Just to be perfectly clear, okay? I'm not in favor of nuclear proliferation. What's happening right now is the obvious consequence of America abandoning its allies and siding with a very nuclear-armed enemy state. Do you think the Russian nukes even still work? Enough of them work for it to be a problem.
Are we ready for a post-NATO Europe? King Charles welcoming Volodymyr Zelensky to his Sandringham estate in images that evoke the days of Charles's grandfather when Britain bravely held down the fort before the U.S. entered World War II. Ever since the push came to shove, would Europe be ready for a post-NATO world? And does Trump, siding with Putin, bring the vacation with Russia?
There were actually reports recently that Russia's taking good care of its nukes. So are these reports coming from the same sources that said that they were the strongest military in the world prior to 2022? Like, where are we getting that information from?
Unseen throughout the Cold War. Today in the France 24 debate, can Europe go it alone? With us from Brussels, he's a former Italian EU affairs minister, today French member of the European Parliament for Emmanuel Macron's Renew. Sandro Gozzi just back from Washington as part of a parliamentary committee that went to the White House and to Capitol Hill. Thanks for being with us.
Good evening, and thanks for inviting me.
Also with us, Anastasia Shapachkina, president of the Eastern Circle's think tank, lecturer in geopolitics at the French Political Science Institute.
I just want to take a look at the tone here. That is quite the rock on your neck.
Craig Kapitas, Europe correspondent for Newsmax. How are you?
Good.
You can listen, like, and subscribe to the France 24 debate wherever podcasts are streamed. History will tell how those 49 minutes inside the Oval Office last Friday are remembered. What is for certain is that they are unprecedented.
You're right now not in a very good position.
At the Paris Military School, l'École Militaire, you've been, I guess, speaking with military types and civilian types since Friday.
Yes, of course.
And what are they saying?
But I'm speaking also with my American colleagues, which is all the more interesting, I would say, in that particular moment. That is a turning point in American foreign policy, as Anastasia just mentioned. And what people would say, I mean...
It's that word again, unprecedented? I mean, all this is pretty unprecedented.
Civilian is that we should keep...
The policy, foreign policy.
Newsmax is considered legitimate by France 24. Newsmax has has really widened their operations. Newsmax's publications come across a lot more legitimate than their pundits. Like, if you are watching Newsmax, I feel like it's barely better than OAN. If you're reading Newsmax, they come across like it's kind of like the way you know, like a Fox News article will often contain basically the same information as an article from other broadcasters on a subject, depending on what it's about exactly.
Policy line, if there is any, of Donald Trump and Vance, because it doesn't make sense to try to strike a deal on Ukraine without the...
So many were imposed. Again, is this all just part of political theater? After all, he concluded his statement by saying this will make great television. So
I've just decided that I don't actually give a shit about any of this. I'm moving on. I need a more like concentrated topic. I need like a narrower focus of attention. Bipolar Vaush isn't real. Me when I know what bipolar disorder means.
Des caméras du monde entier, une scène sidérante vendredi soir. Dans le bureau ovale de la Maison-Blanche, s'est déroulée sous l'objectif des caméras du monde entier une scène sidérante, marquée de brutalité et de volonté d'humiliation, dont le but était de faire plier par la menace le président ukrainien Volodymyr Zelensky pour qu'il se rende aux exigences de ses agresseurs. Le tout résumé en une phrase devant les caméras de la planète: ou bien vous trouvez un accord avec Poutine, ou bien nous vous laissons tomber.
Comprendre les réalités, c'est d'abord admettre que nous ne pouvons pas promettre à l'Ukraine une adhésion à l'OTAN, alors que nous savons que cette option a été une justification à l'agression russe et est clairement rejetée aujourd'hui par les États-Unis. De même, l'adhésion de l'Ukraine à l'Union européenne va incontestablement à l'encontre de nos intérêts. Cette adhésion coûterait des milliards d'euros à la France. Elle créerait une nouvelle distorsion de concurrence sur le marché du travail, impactant fortement.
She really does look as evil and hateful as she is, you know? The way she speaks as well. Honestly, that's fine, man. The more the AfD and Le Pen's parties, the more they define themselves as being opposed to Ukraine, the more likely it is they fall into irrelevancy. As long as Russia remains the threat that it is, as long as the United States grows more obviously evil and in line with Russia, it seems like it's going to pull against them. You know, the AfD does that since 2014 and has gained only since. Yeah, but she only really got mixed up like 4 days ago, you know? Like now it's not just whether or not Russia fucks Ukraine up. Now it's like the literal end of like the US military umbrella, the end